Hello everyone and welcome to Real Life Racing episode 4. Now in the last episode it was the second round of the championship, and on the day when I should have been at the third round I was actually here instead, watching the first round of the World Endurance Championship at Silverstone. You can obviously see why I decided to go here instead. But because I was here, I obviously didn't want to leave you guys 2 months without having something to watch in terms of the real life racing series. Obviously the championship is once a month. With me missing one of the rounds, it would mean that it would be 2 months before I did another championship round. So what I did is I decided to just join in with a random race. So just any old race where there was a couple of groups of people that decided to go and have a race, I would join in. And this would aim to show you guys sort of the golfing performance between the people who I race against normally and the people, you know, your sort of average Joe who just goes just for a random race, just for a bit of fun. So these are slightly different, these races. They aren't quite as complicated as the main championship. Basically there is a qualifying session and there's a race. Pretty simple. You do 15 minutes of qualifying, you're gridded up depending on which your best time in the qualifying, and then you do half an hour of a race. So however many laps you get done in that half an hour, that's what you do, and that's pretty much the whole session. You don't split it up into multiple different races or anything like that. But we're going to start with something that happened near the end of the qualifying session, which is this. Yep, straight off. That just basically a little bit of water got on the track, and you'll see it in a second. This is a picture of the lap before, so this is the lap before I did that, and this is a picture of the lap as I did it. As you can see, there's now a wet patch there. I probably should have just braked and tried to just took the spin, but I decided to try and correct it. As soon as my wheel got on that water, I had no grip whatsoever. As you'll see, I turned left and nothing happens. So yeah, I tried to save it a little bit but couldn't, and had a bit of a spectacular crash and ruined the tyres certainly. So yeah, that was fun. But that happened near the end of the qualifying, and there was a qualifying session to get done before that. And this is what you're about to see now, just a little clip of it, because in this race there were 2 groups and 2 single people. So I was one of the single people, and the person that you see in front of me now, he was another single person who just joined the race just for a bit of fun. So the 2 groups I wasn't really worried about, because, you know, they were here they'd had no karting experience. They were just, you know, here for a bit of fun. Just any of you sort of average Joes who might go without any kind of racing knowledge or anything like that, just going karting for a first time and just having a bit of fun with it. But this guy, he had his own gloves and he had his own shoes, which kind of signified that he might have done this before. And I wanted to see how I fared against him, so I made sure I found him in the qualifying session. And, you know, just raced him a little bit in the qualifying just to see if I was indeed quicker than him and how much quicker and stuff like that. So as you can see, I am sort of hounding him in the back a bit, and I do manage to pass him here, just getting on the inside. And, you know, that kind of told me straight away that I was a lot quicker than this guy, so I didn't really need to worry about him either. So what I did is I started all the way at the back of the race. I decided to make it a bit more fun. I did actually qualify on pole position, but, you know, what's the point? There would be no point, I'd just drive away. I decided to start right at the back, and actually I started just at the end of this corner here at the hairpin, so I was quite a way behind. So here we are with the race. As you'll see where I start now. It's literally, I'm about 20 seconds behind the start-finish straight, and as you can see, they're all gridded up. Everyone, it's a standing start rather than a rolling start that you normally see in the championship. Everyone's in the grid positions at the front, as you can see there, sort of magnified a little bit. And the guy who I was following there, the quicker guy, he was on pole position, so I basically had the rest of the race to try and catch him up. There you go, the lights go to green and I start the race, but obviously everyone starts in front of me and I've got all of this section to complete before I actually get there. As I said, 20 seconds is pretty much the deficit. I don't manage to pass the start-finish line until 20 seconds after the race has already started, so I'm already 20 seconds behind the leader at this point. As usual, I've got all the lap times, the positions, the lap counters all on there as you would normally expect from a championship round, and you may want to pay attention to them for this first lap because it is pretty crazy. I've already overtaken 2 people, as you saw there, and they were only at the first corner, and I'd already done a third or a quarter of the lap. And this first lap is pretty crazy. As you can see, there's another person, and there's a big group of them in front of me, and you'll see what happens there as well. So yeah, the position counter is just going down and down. There are 22 people in this race, so that's a fair amount to get through before I even think about starting to catch up to the leader. But I don't make it too hard for myself, let's put it that way. I'm already into 14th place, and this is just showing you really the difference in performance between the guys who I normally race with. So in the last episode, I went back down to 30th place in the final race, and it took me 10 laps to make up 14 places. Now in this race, it's taken me 1 lap to make up 12 places, as you can see there. So, you know, that shows you the kind of difference that you might expect from just doing a random race with a load of random people, and the championship that I do on a regular basis that these episodes are built up around. So yeah, I would say that the guy who's in first position is kind of one of the guys who I would have been overtaking in that last race in the last episode. He's kind of on that same level. He is good, but he's just sort of a second or two off the pace essentially. But that doesn't mean to say my job's going to be easy, because this is a 23 lap race. It's half an hour, you know, it just depends how many laps you get done in that half an hour. It turned out that I got 23 done. So this is a 23 lap race, and I'm already 20 seconds behind the leader. So I would have to be going at least a second a lap faster than him to be able to catch up and overtake for the end. So, you know, it's not an easy task starting all this way back, because then you've got to go through all of the back markers as well. Well, they're not back markers, you are racing them for position, but you've got to go through all of the slow guys before you can even start thinking about getting a decent lap time. He's already at the front with clean air, doesn't have to pass anyone, just putting in the lap times that he can do. But, you know, this is what makes it interesting for me. You know, I just wanted to bring you guys some decent footage. I wasn't bothered about actually winning the race, really. I just wanted to bring you guys some interesting footage and have a fun race for myself, because it wasn't serious. It wasn't part of the championship that you normally see in these videos. So yeah, I'm already up into 7th place after 2 laps. So 2 laps, already up into 7th place. Not too bad at all. The 2 guys in front of me are in 5th and 6th position, and then after those it does start to get a little bit complicated, because we already start catching up to back markers. But I will explain that as we catch up to people and as we go along. So as you can see here, one guy goes wide a little bit and I get the other guy on the outside, and that's me into 5th place after 3 laps. So that's not too bad really. I was, you know, not too displeased with that one, let's say. So yeah, basically at this point, now that I know that I'm reasonably high up, I'm just trying to concentrate on where the leader is. That's all I'm trying to do. So as I'm coming along the straight, he's actually on the right of the picture. So you're coming down sort of the section that I'll be going around in a second. So I'm always focused on where he is every lap. Every time I go down the straight, I'm looking over to the right and seeing where he is, because I want to keep it in my mind where he's at and how I'm catching him, how much I'm catching him, and who I need to overtake to basically get the win. There's no point in me just going around aimlessly and just overtaking everybody. I need to know who's in first place so that I can actually know who I need to be overtaking to actually get into that first position when I catch up to them. So yeah, as you saw there, I'd overtook one guy. I have overtaken 2 other people as well, but they were back markers. So you know, there are a lot slower people in this race, so I am catching up to back markers already and passing people quite quickly. But I will let you know when I come up to the 3rd and 2nd place guys, and obviously the 1st place guy as well. If I pass anyone in between now and then, it's basically just a back marker and it won't be for position. But obviously the position counter in the top left will explain that to you. So this 5th lap that we're going on to now is a pretty clean lap. I don't have to overtake anyone. I don't have too many back markers in front of me slowing me down. It's basically the first out of pretty much only 2 clean laps that I get in the whole race. So out of 23 laps, there's only 2 really that I could consider would be clean laps that I get a reasonable chance to put a decent lap time down, and that's what I do in this race, as you'll see at the end of it. But the difficulty that you have in these kind of races is just traffic, is overtaking people. This is kind of similar to the first episode of this series, where it was an endurance race. There were people with different skill levels in there, and you know, I was overtaking people a lot in that race as well. So in a similar fashion, this is the same sort of thing. You have to be able to overtake people quickly if they are going on a lot slower than you. Otherwise, you're just going to lose so much time, and lose far too much time than you would like. So you know, that is part of the difficulty in doing one of these races, that there are a lot slower people and they inevitably get lapped all of the time. So this guy in front of me now is in 3rd place, so I just go for a dive on the inside. Now that would never work in a championship round. I would never be able to make that move stick there because I was too far behind, but I knew that he wouldn't be as close to the inside as he should be, wouldn't be quite going as fast as he should be around the corner. Maybe he lifted a little bit, so I just stuck it up the inside, saw what happened, and I got the overtake done there nicely. And that's the sort of thing that you can do in this sort of race that you can't do in other races. Now the guy in front of me now is in 2nd place as well. Obviously he's got decent lines, you know, he's not doing too badly, but I am catching up to him quite quickly, and I get the overtake done just doing a dive on the inside there, sort of a crossover move, get on the inside, get the overtake done, and that's it. I'm in 2nd place. So it's only taken me 5.5–6 laps to get up into 2nd place from starting 20 seconds behind in 22nd place. Now I'm setting off for the leader. Now this is a lot more difficult because the leader is a lot quicker. Just to remind you, the leader is the guy who I was following in the qualifying. He turned out to be better than every one of the other groups, and he obviously qualified on pole, as I mentioned. Well, he qualified 2nd, but he started on pole and then just drove away. At this moment in time, he is around 12 seconds ahead of me. So I've managed to catch up to him by 8 seconds in 7 laps, and I just have to use the rest of the time to try and catch up to him more. But obviously during those laps, he had the benefit of clean air, so he was just able to go at his own pace, whereas I had to fight through everybody else to make up my positions. Now I'm hoping that I can catch up to him a lot quicker than what I have been. So yeah, it's basically just, you know, I'm driving around, I'm always keeping him in mind where he is on the track. I always know where he is, because when I do eventually catch up to him, obviously that's the hope, that I want to catch up to him. When I do eventually catch up to him, I need to know that he is the guy that I want to overtake for the lead. It's useless me just not knowing who he is and just overtaking random people until the end. So yeah, I'm basically just, you know, keeping going down here, looking over to the right, making sure I know where he is at all times. Like I said, I've worked it out. He was about 12 seconds ahead of me at the start of that last lap, and it's just a case of seeing how long it takes me to catch up, and hoping that I can do it before the end of the race, obviously. But where does this difference in performance come from? You know, why is it that when you see me in those championship rounds, it's fighting with a lot of people all very close on pace, and how come that I can come into a round like this, just a random race, and be so much quicker? Well, it's just experience, really. You know, the 2 main groups that I was talking about who came, one of them had been a few guys had been a couple of times before, but not really, you know, they probably weren't interested in racing, so to speak, so they know sort of a little bit about racing lines, a few of them. The rest of them don't, you know. One of the groups had a lot of girls in there who didn't have a clue, you know, they were just going really slow. 2 of the guys who, ooh, that was interesting. I forgot about that. I haven't watched that before. Yeah, I'd forgot about him taking me off there. Oh well. Yeah, anyway, that's the sort of thing, you know. In a championship round that I normally base these videos on, that wouldn't have happened, because the person in front would have been going a lot quicker. He would have also known that I was behind him, you know, stuff like that, and he also wouldn't have taken that line that he did take into that corner. He would have been over the other side. So it's just a case of knowing the racing lines, knowing how to drive the kart around the circuit, knowing where you need to brake, where you don't need to brake, how far across you can go, how much speed you can take into corners. All that kind of stuff just builds up with experience, and the more you do it. Now the guy in first place has done it a couple of times. He had been a number of times. I was talking to him at the end. He said, you know, he'd been a couple of times, but he doesn't have the same sort of hard experience that I have, and that comes from doing the championship that I do. racing against good people makes you so much better. The guy who's in first now, he said he comes often on a Monday and doesn't really have that much competition. Well, you know, I said to him to start doing the championship that I do, because you improve so much quicker when you're racing against good people and you learn so much more. So yeah, you know, it's just a case of that. And when you are watching those other championship races, remember this episode, remember that everyone in those episodes are good. It's very easy to watch it and think that you know, everyone would be on the same pace if they're doing that sort of thing. But that's not the case. You know, everyone in that championship is of a high standard, so that's why wins in those races mean a lot more than they do in something like this, and that's why I wasn't really bothered about getting the win. But anyway, here we are, we're on lap 10 now, still in second place, and this is a back marker in front of me, but the guy in front of him is our leader, so it's the person that we are trying to beat. So obviously I'm trying to get around this back marker as quickly as possible, because I've got the leader in my sights now. He's on the same straight as me. Obviously I get around those two back markers as well, and it seems to be that I'm able to get around the back markers a lot quicker than he does. So, you know, I've caught up by 12 seconds in the space of what, 3 laps, 4 laps, something like that, whenever it was I mentioned it. And that's really because he started to come up against the back markers, and he started to have to overtake people. And I know where I need to overtake, where I can overtake, where I'm quicker than people, and I seem to be able to get that done a lot better. So there he is, there's the guy in first place, directly in front of me. I finally got him as close as, well, ever before. It's took me 11 laps to get this close to him. I must be about 1 or 2 seconds behind him at this point. And yeah, I'm just waiting to see where I might get the chance to overtake. I at this point I'm kind of expecting to maybe stay behind him a little bit, or maybe wait until some traffic intervenes, but in the end I don't really need to, and I sort of see my chance coming down here and think maybe, right, I'll just try to get on the inside here, brake a little bit later, get down the inside. I do get bogged by this back marker a little bit, but it's not enough to let him get back past me, and I'm in first position, and I just drive away from that point. You know, I just keep that position right to the end and drive away for the rest of the remaining 23. Well, the remaining 12 laps. So yeah, it was a decent race. I enjoyed it. It was so much better that there was someone there who was of a good standard, really. You know, if I'd got into first place within the 4 laps that I managed to get up into second in this, or whenever it was, it would have been a lot less interesting. It was much more interesting that there was someone who was on a reasonable pace to, you know, just have a bit of a battle against. In the end, his best lap in this race was 1 minute 8.4. My best lap came right on lap 22 and was a 1 minute 6.8. So that shows the difference. You know, almost 2 seconds a lap in terms of best laps. I was quicker than him. So that kind of shows the difference. And obviously, because the guys in the group, the best guy in the other groups got a 1 minute 10, he was a lot quicker than everyone else, so he ended up coming second. But yeah, you know, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I am going to end it early. You know, there's no point in watching the rest of the laps because it's just overtaking back markers again. And yeah, I just keep first position till the end. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. There's a little bit of a filler. Normal service will be resumed next in a couple of weeks' time, where after I've done the 4th round of the championship, and we'll just have to see how I do there. So thanks a lot for watching, everyone. Be sure to leave a like and a comment down below if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.